Hey everyone, Engineer Coffee, welcome back to Mars. Last episode we built this bridge crane and got a good start on the warehouse here. This episode I really want to get working on the controls here to automate the placement of the cargo containers here with the bridge crane. I think that'd be a lot of fun to work on. But first I think I want to work on getting this shell completed. So I did a little bit of work off camera. I got this pad placed out here for the trucks to drive onto. We'll have to fix the ramps at some point. Somebody in the comments had suggested using these hangar doors instead of the gates, and I like that idea. We hadn't used them yet, so got those in there as well. Those take forever to weld up, so I did it off camera. And then somebody else over here had suggested turning this ramp subgrid into a station and then just merging the blocks into the ground, so I totally forgot we could do that. Ended up doing that. Looks really good. Now we have a probably a more stable ramp now that it's built into the ground, a lot less clangy. So that's all done there. I cleaned up over here, got the med center. It's just stuck underneath the building here for now. Got the med center out of there, cleaned up the piping, redid the catwalk up here just so it has a little bit more structural support with these beam blocks so it matches the rest of the base around. So yeah, I think the next thing I want to do is just start finishing up the building here, and I think I'm going to do it in another montage. I think that works out pretty well, and then we'll get started on the controls. Alright, made some good progress here on the warehouse. I am out of material though, so I have like 12k of iron left, ran out of steel plates in the welder. Its batteries were down to like 20%, so it's charging over there. The truck is over there charging as well. He was running out of battery, charging up all the turrets around here. So we'll let him charge. So I think we're going to take the gunship and go over to the peanut iron mine. I've got some materials here in my inventory to build another piston so we can get some extended reach on the iron mine drill. And then we'll probably take Clangscavator out because I'm getting pretty low on silicon and nickel as well. So let's go ahead and hop in the gunship here. We'll head over to the peanut iron mine and then we'll get more material, continue on with the building, and then I'll kind of explain the design that's going on over there. Okay. Well, obviously we don't have a pad for the drone or for the gunship here, so we'll just park it outside the front door. That'll be fine. And the tardigrade is up there waiting to be filled up. Let's actually go up to it and let's see if we can check its inventory. Oh, I still need to replace these turrets here with the new ones. I think would be good, and this cargo with the inset. So let's check its inventory. What has it got? Oh, it's pretty close here to taking off, so we just need to give it, what, 4k more of iron? So that'll be good. Let's go ahead and go back down. Okay, well I took off the drill here and I put on a piston on the end of the hinge here, so we should be able to drive it down and also still pitch to the side and get a really good sweeping circle. So for now, let's go ahead and extend this guy down. I want to be able to get to the bottom. I want to find how deep this deposit actually goes. That was the wrong direction. Yeah, the tardigrade's doing a really good job. He's gone back and forth now to the base a couple times, so that's been good. So that's working. Let's go ahead and drill down, see if we can find the bottom here. Alright, there we go. We finally hit dirt. We can go ahead and let's check the distance here. If I could, before I... No, well, there's 10... There's 10 meters. That's as deep as we can go. Yeah. Okay, wow. Well, we've got a lot more iron that we can get before we can dig to flat ground. I was hoping to get dirt down here so we could build an elevator to go up and down this system, but I think we're just going to keep the piston rotor for now because, my goodness, we've got a lot of iron to mine out here. Alright, well, I'm feeling pretty good. We've almost got both cargo containers completely full. Our sorter is full, obviously, and the tardigrade has gone back, what, 4 times, I think, now? So that's working really well. So we'll just let him spin, get the rest of this. Alright, well, I think that cargo box will pass over, but it might spawn some drones. We'll see. Let's go ahead and just fly low so we don't attract anything. Don't really feel like fighting right now. Oh yeah, that's real close. Okay. It does not like us. We are real close to this box. Let's see if it flies over. I think this is a side effect of having a base that's only 10 kilometers away. I think it's trying to pass close to us, and it makes it pass close to our base. So, let's see if it spawns any drones. We got rockets, we got ammo, so we're doing good there. It's passing overhead. Let's go ahead and, I'm just gonna go ahead and wait and see if they're gonna throw anything at us. Alright, we're here in the control room, and the tardigrade is coming in for a dock to the silo here, so we should see silo D light up here as he gets onto the platform. So let's go ahead and watch that for a second. Can we do both at the same time? There we go. There we go, it locked. He's unloading, and when he's done unloading, we should see that light turn off. There we go, and we got the message from our broadcast controller that it's en route to the peanut. So we should have quite a bit of iron. Let's go ahead and check what our iron stores are. Yeah, 375k of iron, and processing quite a bit. We got 100k there. Yeah, it's not a lot of, I mean, it's a lot for us, but it doesn't fill up any of this. So I'm wondering if we should change, because when I go to the event controller here, and we look at the ingot storage, yeah, the 380,000 is only 3.8%. So I'm wondering if I should have turned my world settings down of having not so much cargo filled, or maybe we want to change the threshold here from 20%. Maybe we make this 5%? I'm not sure. So it'd actually show up. It'd be nice to get more material, I guess, but I'll leave it for now, and then when we get the container storage on this, we can reassess how we want to do that. But that's working, at least. All right, let's head down here to the garage so we can get to our Clangscavator. Got button panels here to operate the door airlocks. They're also operable when you're inside the security center here. And there's a little button here to turn on and off the button panel so you can't operate the airlock, just to kind of lock people out when it's depressurized. So let's go ahead and operate this button, see if our airlock works. It should. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have much air in those tanks, but that should be okay. Alright, let's go over here to the Clangscavator and see if we can go find some nickel and silicon rocks. is the warehouse pretty much done. Got scaffolding and skylights and stuff across the top here, beam blocks to support it. Turned out pretty cool. Still got to do some work here on the floor to get the transition from the trucks up to the warehouse. So some railing, stairs, those type of things. We'll figure that out at some point. I extended the piping here that it comes across this direction and comes over to the other side, because I figured out what I want to do with this center section. This is going to be the hangar for the welding ship. So I want to put something here on this wall so we can interchange these heads by dropping out the hinge parts, and we can put grinders on here as we need it. I think that'd be kind of cool. We'll fix up this pad and put a ceiling on, you know, a hangar door or something at some point, but I really want to get started on the crane controls. So we have a lot of positions to record here. Got 5 in the long travel position to get all 5 of those container zones there. We've got 2 in the short travel, 1 to hit the back wall, 1 to hit the loading zone, and then we've got, I think, 5 in the vertical. We got to hit the truck, come up a little bit higher to get to that connector. So we've got 1, 2, 3 connectors, and then we got to come all the way up to the ceiling as well. So there's going to be 5 in the vertical, 5 in the long, and 2 in the short travel. So a lot of things to record. So up here I have some temporary LCD panels so we can get all of those recorded. I'll probably do most of it off screen just because it's going to be a lot of finagling with hinge and piston distances and extensions to get it all set up correctly. So I'll get all of that recorded there, but before we get started I want to get some safety built into this system. So if I were to extend these pistons on the long travel distance here, it would clang out because those hinges would hit. And then here on the short travel distance, if I were to retract the hinges, it would hit onto that beam over there and clang out. So I got to retract the pistons here before I can operate those hinges. Those hinges have to operate before I can extend those pistons. So I've got 4 event controllers to set up for that. The vertical distance I'm not too worried about. I can extend both the pistons and rotors at the same time. I'm not too worried about that. So we just worry about the short and long distance. So I have the long distance one set up already, and so I'll show you how that operates. Let's go ahead and retract number 4 here, just so it's in the center before we get started. But right now you can kind of see number 2 on my toolbar there blinking because my pistons are off, so I can't operate them. So if I extend my hinges out, once they get to 0 degrees, actually I think it's -1 degree, just to give it a little bit of a buffer, the pistons will turn themselves on. And they should start auto-extending, because I already hit number 2. There we go, they start extending out. And after they get past, I think, 2% of their extension, they turn on a rotor lock, or a hinge lock. So now I can't operate the hinges when I hit number 1 there. It's not doing anything. So if I retract my pistons here, once they get to 0% or fully retracted, it should unlock those hinges and they'll start moving backwards. There we go. It's automatically working. So now we can set our rotor angles and our piston distances without having to worry about timers to wait for one to get extended before the other one works. So they should be able to work in tandem, which should be nice. Yeah. So let's go ahead and set up the short travel distance here. So here in my short travel, I have 1 for the hinge and 1 for the piston. So for the hinge one, we're going to use hinge angle. And we'll use the equal to or greater than, and we're going to do -1, just so it gives a little bit of a threshold. And I think I called these ones trolley. So we're just going to use the first trolley hinge, that's fine. Yeah, so it shows that it has a threshold of -1. It's already at 0 degrees. And so for our actions, for the pistons, we want to find our group of pistons. This would be the trolley pistons. So when it is past that threshold, we want to turn them on. Otherwise, we want to turn them off. So now if we go ahead and extend or retract number 3, there we go. We see 4 blinking now because it's off. And we can't extend those out. So now if we hit number 3 again, it should extend out to pretty much 90 degrees. And then the piston will start extending. So that's good. But now we can still operate our hinge. So we need to get our second event controller set up. Okay, so for the short travel piston, we're going to use our piston distance. And this one I think I did 2%. Seemed to work out pretty good. So if it's greater than 2%, we want to lock our hinge. let's see, our hinge for our trolley, we want to go ahead and lock on. Otherwise, the lock can turn off. And that should be it. So let's go ahead and give it a test here. For extend number 4, it should lock our hinges. No, didn't do it. Did I add a piston? I did not add a piston. That would do it. Okay. Well, we need to pick one of our pistons here, so let's pick one of our trolley pistons and add it. There we go. Now that we actually have a threshold to measure, it should work. So let's go ahead and extend number 4. There we go. Now we have a hinge lock on number 3. So now when I retract in, it should automatically start retracting. There we go. And I can't extend number 4 because it's off. Okay, well there we go. We got our safety in there with our 4 event controllers, just so we can't operate our hinges and pistons without them interfering with each other. So that's pretty cool. So now let me go ahead and record all of these positions, and we'll get our set and go stuff going. Okay, well that went a lot faster than I thought it was going to, actually. Lucked out on a few of them. The lift here for the connector number 2 height is 0 and 0, so the hinge is fully extended, and the piston is fully retracted, so that worked out there. And then over here for the long distance travel, the same thing. The hinge is fully extended and the piston is fully retracted, and it hits the center position. So it's been pretty easy to align. I've got, these are all supposed to stack, and so I don't have to build a bunch of containers. I can just stack them up here on blocks, and everything is aligning up well. I've got it resting there, so of course it's not going to block in there. And then for the rest of it, I've just been extending blocks out like this and leaving them unwelded. I can see the X spot here, so I can see the center line of where these are supposed to go. So that made setup there a lot easier. Had the truck loaded with the container, and I was able to drive up to it. So that worked out really well. So I think we've got all of our positions. Now we can start working on the actual programming of it. Alright, we're here in our control room, and I want to put the controls right here on the window, and I've got kind of a plan layout that I thought up that I think will work. So I want to grind out this block and put in a rotor. That'll work. And we'll just grind it off, and we'll add a small head to it. Okay, add small rotor head. There we go. Of course, I'm not going to have any parts. I think I'll just grind out this window for now so we can zoom across and get materials as we need it. Alright, there we go. We got a platform. Let's go ahead and mess with our... let's turn rotor lock on for one. Our rotor displacement here to get the level just right. Well, this control board was a lot smaller in my head, but I think it'll work. I'm hoping I can get access here. Can I put panel that I want to put on here? Oh, I can. Okay. Hopefully we can put the window block back in. No. This is where the buttons are going to be, so it should be okay. Let me get some material, and I'll show you what I was going to do. Okay, our windows went back in. That's good news. And I did grind this back because I knew I needed to cover this up, because we still need to make it airtight. So I believe the light armor panels are still airtight. I'm hoping. Alright, got the windows back on. Everything's all welded up. Everything's fitting, so that's good. It is a little bit bigger than I planned, but that's okay. So what I want to do is I want to put 3 on this side. So this will be for our loading bays. We're going to have 1, 2, 3 loading bays, and then we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, next we need some buttons. They stick out a little far. I know I could use, like, these buttons, and we can make, like, an actual, like, console table and stuff, but I kind of want it to match what we had over in the control SCADA system, so it'll look a little old school, and that's fine. And then I need another button here. And then we're going to use our little neon tubes. I wonder if I should flip those lights now. Yeah, I'm going to flip them vertical, so then they actually kind of look like they connect to the neon tubes. There we go, like that. We need our T. There, and then here, I'm hoping I can do a text panel. We're going to look into the options of what we can do with this thing. So what I'm hoping to put on here is put in text and images, and then there's a arrow in here. We're going to add that one. There we go. Because then we can actually change the rotation angle. We can go 90 degrees and 270, and I'm wondering, can we set up in our button panel, is there anything we can do with that text panel? Can we change the rotation? Increase rotation. Okay, so we can do it twice. Okay, I thought we could go around in a circle. So I can't do that all with one button unless it flip-flops a timer. Alright, so I took the button panels off and put timers underneath, and so now I'm going to just put the button panels back on, and we'll trigger the timers. And so we'll have to do a lot of complex setups here, but basically what I want to do is this button will trigger timer number 1, and then in those timers, we'll have to set up quite a bit of stuff, but for right now we'll just control the lights. So right now this one, the setup actions, it's going to do the loading bay. It's going to turn on the one light, and it's going to turn off the others. Like that, and then this one will do the same thing, so let's go back into the timer. It's going to turn off 1, on 2, off 3, off 1, off 2, and on 3. There we go. Now we can have explicit controls of what we want to do here. So hopefully now we can use event controllers, or we can set up the timers here. Then when we do this, it's going to set up what positions we want to set up for our loading and unloading of the truck. So now we're wanting to loading bay 1, or we can have loading bay 2, loading bay 3, and that'll turn on and off each position timer. And we'll do the same thing over here. Alright, got a good start here on the control panel. We can toggle what loading bay we want to load from by selecting these 3 lights here. So we'll pick number 1 because that's where truck number 1 is. And then we'll pick what rack we want to go for. So we'll pick number 4 here because that's where the green container is. So now I want to get working on like the brain portion of it. So down here in the basement, I've got a hinge brain set up. So it's just a hinge with a small hinge on it, and then a bunch of timer blocks. So I think I have 12 timer blocks on here right now for each one of the positions. So I need to get it set up that each one of these corresponds to the different horizontal, or well, not horizontal, long distance, short distance, and then vertical positions. So let me get all that set up. All 12 of those timers will correspond to all 12 of these positions we have on it, and then we can start working on the sequencing for unload and load. Alright, so here I am at the helm. I've got my timers all labeled, so I call them BT for brain timer. So we're going to do our lift, our long, and our short. So we'll start with the long, because it's over here on the left side. So position 1, what we want to do is we want to set up our actions, and we're going to do long. We have our long hinges. We're going to set our rotate to angle, negative 76.5, at a speed of 0.75. And then we'll do our pistons at 0, at a speed of 0.075. And we'll just keep continuing on this with all of these positions on our hinges and pistons, and I'll come back when that's all done. Alright, I've done a ton of work off camera. We're back here in the control center. I actually had it recorded, and I was going through editing last night, and it was just way too long. I guess if I release the Snyder cut later, you can see the entire hour of me rambling. But I did the unload sequence on camera, and it took an hour. I did the load sequence by myself, and it took 15 minutes. So we'll just do a demonstration, and then we'll go through the details of what I did in the timers. So we're going to do an unload sequence because we've got the green container there on the truck. So we're going to unload from bay 1. And then we're going to load to, let's go all the way to warehouse rack number 5. And we'll pick the lowest position because that's what's there. These are temporary for now for the rack height positions. I want to automate that somehow, whether it's connector connected or a sensor on the bridge crane to know what is in the way, to know what to load to. But we'll figure that out later. It might be the next episode because this is getting a little long in the teeth. So let's go ahead and do an unload sequence here. Press the button. There we go. Starting to retract back. Let's get into the chair here so we can keep charged. And we'll just use the spectator camera. There we go. It's pulling back. The crane is coming down to the truck. It should get over the position before it drops completely vertical. There we go. It's a little bit of a delay. I might need to change to lock down to the container. But once it locks, it starts pulling up. waits a little bit of time, and then starts going to the rack position that it needs to go to, which in this case is number 5. So that takes a full 30 seconds, so we'll go ahead and skip this part and see it on the other side. Okay, now it's over here on the other side. It's going to start traveling the short distance. It's going to get all the way over before it starts going down vertically, because I don't want the containers to scrape on the top of each other. So it's going to wait till it gets all the way over here before it starts going downward. All right, there we are. We're on the floor. It should unlock and then start zipping away. So it'll go this way vertically away from the container, and then it'll start, once this kind of gets to the halfway point that guy has cleared the racks, it'll start moving back to the home position. So every time it's done with the sequence, it's going to move to the home position, which is right here in the center, with this guy fully retracted over the bays. So that's done there. So now we can go ahead and do a load sequence. So let's go ahead and load number 1 here onto truck number 1. So get back into first person here. We're going to pick the top rack. We're going to pick warehouse rack number 1. We're still going to load to truck number 1. Let's go ahead and do a load sequence. And this one, the crane starts moving the short and long travel at the same time, because we know we don't have a container on it, so we don't have to worry about clearances. So this guy will come all the way over to here. And then stop, and then it should drive down. There we go. There we go. Got it locked. It's going to pull it up. Start moving it this way. It's got a little bit of a delay just to pick up vertical so it doesn't scrape the next container, and then start moving this direction. Okay, there we go. Now it's starting to drop down to the truck. Again, it just does the same sequencing. I didn't back up the truck still, so it's a little bit off, but that's my parking job. There we go. Lines it up to the truck, kind of gets it a little smushed on there. Waits a little bit of time, should unlock. There we go. Now it should start pulling up and going back to the home position. There we go. Alright, we're back here in the control room. Let's go through the timer, see if I can make it make sense of what I did. So here in the load timer, we have 6 load sequences. So it's going to do the long and short travel. It waits 22 seconds to do the vertical. Waits another 18 seconds to lock to it and pull it back up. Another 18 seconds to travel all the way over to the long position. And then it does the vertical down to the truck. Waits 22 seconds for that. And then another 18 seconds to unlock it, lift away, and go back home. That makes sense. So then here in the long travel, in the setup actions, to do the long travel, it's actually triggering all 5 of the rack position timers and the short position timer before moving on to the next timer in its sequence. So it triggers all 5, but it only runs one of them because only one of them is on. So that's what these buttons do here. So with this button, if we hit number 5 here and we go into our positioning timers, I know it's a lot of timers to keep track of, but basically all these positioning timers here, we have 1 through 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 are off, 5 is on, and all of these are, in these positioning timers, is the hinge and piston position, just to make sure we're in the right spot. So like for position 5, this is at 0 degrees, this guy is fully extended to the back wall, so that's all those positioning timers are doing there. So that's what that load is doing. It's triggering all of the longs at once, but it only goes to the one that's on. Vertical travel is the same way. It does all 3 vertical positions for the connectors here, but only one of them is on based on which light I select here. Lock and going back up to the ceiling's always on, it's its own position. Going to the truck positions, again, this picks all 3 truck bays, 1, 2, and 3, and those are determined which one is on based on this panel. We'd want loading bay 1 because that's where the truck is. And then our vertical, again, is just to the ceiling, down to the truck. Those are the same. And then we go back to our home position. And so that's why I have so many position timers in here. I have 1 for the home. I have 5 for the racking and 3 for the trucks. Those are all long positions. So technically, bay number 2, rack number 3, and the home position long are all the same settings. They all have the same 0 degrees on the hinge and fully retracted on the pistons. But I have them explicit because sometimes I want, warehouse position number 3, this rack needs to be off, but I still want to load bay number 2, so it needs to be on over there, and then I always want to go home. So I have 3 different ones that are the same positions, but it helps out with sequencing. Okay, so there is the sequencing there. I could probably automate it a little bit more. Like I said, I want to get some automation here to know the vertical positions. The timings are a little bit wacky. It does 30-second delay to go from, you know, bay number 1 here from the truck and then go all the way to the back wall. Takes 30 seconds, and so that's the 30-second delay. But if I put in, you know, warehouse rack number 1 and loading bay number 1, it's still going to take that full 30 seconds to just wait here to go to the back wall. So there's a little bit of sacrifice there. I could probably put in some event controllers or sensors or something like that to speed up to go from one position to the other. But I'd rather kind of play it safe and not have containers smash into each other. So we're just going to keep the 30-second delay. I'm not in a big rush. It's more about getting the sequencing down. So I think this is where I'm going to call it an episode. This one is getting pretty long in the teeth. I've got a lot of stuff to clean up between here and the next episode and a lot of editing to do. So we're going to go ahead and call it here, and please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.